All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 371. Might be 372. I'm not sure. Anyway, today I'm super excited to have Alan Medcraf from AM Details in the UK on the show, and I want to give a personal thank you to Ian at Autofiber for kind of loosely introducing us. Ian was definitely the one that was like, hey, you should have this Alan guy. I just met him at MTE. Seems like a great dude, little bit of a character. You should definitely have him on the show. I made up that little character part just from picking up.
Thank you.
Anyway, if you're interested in Autofiber cloths, towels, accessories that they have, you could save some money by using code JIMBO at checkout. And also they have Autofiber Australia and Autofiber Canada. So you can check out those respective websites or just autofiber.com and you're good to go. So Alan, with that, thanks for bearing with that. And welcome to, I believe, your first ever podcast.
So this with Jimbo, you're breaking me in. This is the first podcast I think I've been a guest on.
I like it. With
nice.
Potentially future plans for you, but I think this is going to develop into a few podcasts with you and I together because we seem like kindred spirits when it comes to the business side of things as well as detail.
I think so. I've got a couple of cups of tea here. I have some energy drink. I have water. We could just rock it all out now, like 4 hours, and then just divide it up into crazy session time.
I'm gonna get for our next one. I'm gonna get a toilet seat to sit on, and then that way I won't have to get up at all. So if I gotta go pee, if I got tea as well, water, phone, I'm good to go.
I didn't give you the pre-interview and Alan check sheet, did I?
I didn't.
I have Crohn's disease, so at any point you'll be talking and you'll just hear nothing, like flatline. Beep.
Oh.
And that's it. I'm gone. I'm at the toilet. Sorry, man. Had to go.
That's I'll edit that or leave it in. So, but I happen to pee a lot too. That's my superpower. Is
nice.
I have to pee a lot. So, anyway, with that, why don't you give us a overview, and then we'll kind of dive deeper into things that spark both our interest in your story. But why don't you give us kind of an overarching background on you personally, and then how you kind of got into detailing. Before you do that, we are doing this as a video episode as well. So Alan has a phenomenal YouTube channel. Alan, what's the YouTube name? Is it just AM Details?
Totally. YouTube.com/AM Details.
And that is what you call me being prepared by not knowing what your YouTube channel is,
even
though I've seen it. So if you're interested, I'm sure Alan's going to put it over on his channel. Of course, it'll be on Auto Detailing Podcast YouTube channel, or you could just listen to the audio. But however you like to consume, we're here for you. So with that, go ahead. Take it away, Alan.
So hey, Jimbo. Hey, crew. What's going on? I'm Alan, and currently, always been in the UK. What am I waffling? So I'm in the UK, and originally born in Scotland in Fife. I then, as a young lad, joined the military, so traveled around the UK in the military for a bit. And I suppose to dive into the story of why I got into detailing was you get your first car, like you always do. And here it was a beautiful Renault Clio 1.4 Sport. Ooh, the insurance on that was terrible. And crashed it. As you do, just passing your passing your test as you do. So then, to save money and to prevent having to do the insurance job, I had the lovely Air Force painters paint and repair the car for me, and that didn't work out too well. So then, what ended up happening was you're a young guy in the Air Force doing your engineering degree, all that jazz. You got a bit of money on the side, and the Air Force has these incredible things called motor clubs, which are basically, to keep your morale up when you're going out of area and doing all this other stuff for real war heroes, not people like me, engineers that just fix jets all day. But they give you access to a motor club, which is basically, a series of units with ramps in them and tools, and you can hire these for really cheap. So I basically reversed my car into there, found the thing called Google, and Googled how to fix, and what I explained looked like on paintwork.
Right.
Yeah, and it was crazy. So then eventually found ClioSport.net because I had a Clio Sport, which is where then the home of me and Jim White meeting each other, and also another guy who introduced me to Autopia.net. That's still a thing now, right? That's still a thing?
It is still a thing, and in fact they brought back, they're attempting to do like a Facebook group
amazing.
of like, I think it's called Autopia Reborn, and it's basically the Autopia forum in a Facebook group.
It's amazing like that.
Yep.
Basically where I spent like the first year of my detailing life.
By the way, Alan, that brings up a good point. Alan is actually running a detailing business as we talk. So this does not need, if you listen to the podcast at all, the less polished, the better. So he's actually taking time out of his night because he's crazy and works at night. And so if there's background noise, just bear with us.
So I muted my one, but I forgot to mute the work phone or give it to a member of the team. So now, for the whole time we're chatting, AMD are off.
There you go.
So anyway, Autopio.net, did some Googling, did some learning, and imported over my first porter cable.
Yep.
Like everyone starts, you got to get your porter cable, baby.
Mine just died after 10 years.
No.
Because it got wet. Yep.
You'll fix that thing.
I will.
A way. You'll find a way. Clear, and it'll just come back to life.
Yep. It's sat. Sorry for the tangent, but that porter cable, man, is underestimated. That thing sat on a shelf getting dusty for like 6 years, and I was like, oh, I wonder if that thing still works. I just unrolled the cord, plugged it in, and it was like it hadn't missed a beat.
It's phenomenal. Well, you imagine me, so there's me. I would have been 18, 19 at the time, young lad, naive, and put this porter cable over.
And what year is this, just for reference?
Oh, good idea. I'm 32.
Okay.
I'm 33 this year.
So maybe like 2004?
I think so. I'm going to apologize to the detailing community like right now and the podcast community that you are interviewing someone that is, one, useless with dates, and two, useless with names.
Got it.
So when you're on a podcast where you don't really see people's faces and there isn't really any imagery to trigger a memory or a name, we're not going to have a lot of fun when it comes to dates and names.
Then I will that'll be the last time I ask you the date.
But yeah, so young lad, 18, 19, bring this thing over, and the first thing I have to do is cut your American plug off. Bye. And then go to the local hardware store that you would call them and pick up a 110 inverter and stick the mighty big 3 crazy pin anyway to make all that work. And there I was.
Right over your right shoulder, right?
Yeah, just crazy. First thing I did was over the shoulder, got my pinny on, wore my gloves. Nope.
Had that face mask on.
Face mask on. So then did my thing. Googled, practiced. And that's basically where the passion came from. So then roll forward, waffling away there. Roll forward, engineer, doing well in his career, yada, 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 and he's part-time. Tinkering the odd car, still doing a terrible job. I never once got any of the sanding marks or orange peel out of that car. I basically just kept hitting it with Autoglim SRP, Meguiar's 83, and a load of Sonus yellow and green pads, I want to say.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
So then moved up to here, which is in Lossiemouth. So that was originally down at Leaming, a place near Yorkshire where I met my lovely wife. And we moved up here. Now, in the transition of coming up here, I was not feeling that great. And I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. So I know a detailing podcast, but here's the story.
Yeah.
So it's inflammatory bowel disease, if any of your listeners are on there. And to be truthful, if they want to chat more about Crohn's, the stuff that happens with it, or any of the mental stuff, or working self-employed with Crohn's, and by all means, reach out on all my channels, come find me. But what ended up happening was the Air Force then medically discharged me because of this disease. So we're up here and we're thinking, well, what now? Do we leave the Air Force? Well, we know we're leaving, but do we go into engineering, or do I try something else? Do we move back to Fife? Do we move back to Yorkshire? Because my wife's from Yorkshire. And we couldn't work out which one it was going to be. And then decided, you know what? I've been cleaning a lot of friends' cars. I had started to get passing trade. So our first house up here that we rented was directly across from a golf course. I still have a customer now from that original thing, and they would drive past. At the time, I owned a Toyota Celica SD205.
Yeah,
nice, white. So it was like the cleanest, whitest, shiniest thing you'd ever seen. And people would see it and think, "What are you?" I think it was more the interest as they would go to do a round of golf. Now, this is how rubbish I was at detailing, because there was no efficiency here. And on the way back from an 18 round of golf, I would still be doing something with that car.
Right.
So I think that was more the interest, not how shiny it was or whatever. It's like, what is he doing with
Just
this
that you're still
gazebo up
there
over
working
his
on it.
car, battering away with this what looks like an angle grinder? What's going on? So they would start inquiring and asking, and as a
Mm,
young naive guy, I would start to tell them, and they found it interesting. So I had to get the insurance and thought, okay, yeah, this could be something. So I'm doing this part time whilst in the Air Force, and then when they say it's time to leave the Air Force, I decided let's do this. So we gave ourselves a 5-year plan, and 3 years in, we ticked all the boxes, and we are still here.
wow.
Boom.
That's amazing. So it started from literally interest from that golf course? Like,
Yeah,
so that's kind of how you started to get your first round of clients, I guess?
yeah, yeah. I would say so. The guys at work would obviously, you know yourself. You're passionate about
Yeah.
something. The jobs in the Air Force, you very rarely do on your own. So there might be three of us going out to work on a jet to do an engine change or to do a panel change, and that could be a 4, 6, 8 hour job. So you're sitting there and it's like, how's the wife? Not bad.
Right.
It's happening at the gym? Not bad. So I made this car shiny. Ooh, that's interesting.
Got it.
All the lads drive cars, and they're like, so we'd start talking about it, and then one of them would go, I want to do that, or how can I do that? So then they would come and hang out, or they would say, I'm going to give you 50 quid, or I suppose that'd probably maybe about 80 bucks. And can you work on my car? And me, I was like, at the weekend? Sure, pocket money.
Right.
Boom.
Yep.
That's going to buy me more polish. That's going to buy me, more kit. It's going to buy me that 500-watt halogen lamp I need because LED still isn't a thing yet,
Right. Right.
Back then when you're like, it's 2 degrees outside, but I'm okay. I've got 8 halogen lamps lighting me up. I am toasty in my shorts.
Yeah, and that's where I was gonna go next. So obviously you can't, it was cool. People won't know this, but on the WhatsApp, we did a little video tour of Alan's shop before we got going. And when you took me outside, I realized not only is it dark there right now for you, but it's also looked like some snow on the ground. So
just a little pair of snow here.
so obviously, even when you first began, you weren't doing this like outside, right?
No.
So you had a garage. What was that transition like when you decide to go full time with it? And then do you stay in your garage? Do you rent a shop right away? What does that look
Sure.
like?
So the transition, trying to keep the story light, as I say, or be here 100 different podcasts. We can do the revisit the story
Okay.
one later, but to keep the story light, basically the transition period for me being diagnosed to then leaving the Air Force, I would say was probably about a year and a half.
Okay.
So there was a lot of time.
Yep.
So once we'd made the decision, I knew I was doing mobile stuff. So at the time I was just working out of a Fiesta, and you keep it smart and as clean as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And then my wife was working in rentals at the time, so she was renting property.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she rented property from a guy down us who owns I think it's called Shemston Estates, which even has like a little airfield. Like it's just a grass field that's chopped really low, but they have these little propeller aircraft that go on them. So he was like, I have some space, and I'm thinking, here we go, hangar space. This would be incredible, man.
The ultimate.
Oh yeah, here we go. And I literally rolled up to this big green door and tried to move it myself. And now I would like to think I'm quite a fit, burly military guy. This was hard to shift. This needed oiled up. And then there was this bare concrete wall, but not like concrete breeze block, like medieval castle block. Like some bits were 6 inches sticking out, some bits had chunks missing. I'm sure there was a cannonball shot in the side of one of them. I don't know, but an absolute mess. The roof leaked, and this all popped into memory. It's a good thing you asked me to do the podcast now. I've just come back from Bulgaria and felt really humbled by going and seeing where these guys started from to where they are now, and it made me think of where I started from. It made me think about that unit more. And I remember the front part of the unit where the cars was like a mixture of asphalt and stone. So it wasn't even like concrete floor. It was it like absorbed water.
Which I guess could be a good or a bad, really bad thing, right?
And then the rear of the unit was just plastic racking, plastic shelving on mud. And I kept everything off the floor. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we did our first cars. So I still have one of those first customers. Wow. At the time, they had a Volvo, came and see me. And basically, we were doing the best. Like for me to do £300 for a week's work was, I was like, yes.
Right.
But I did have the luxury at the time that I was still receiving wages from the Air Force.
Okay.
So I was just taking anything to build that clientele up.
Yep.
Uh, but I kept the basics right. Had a uniform, had a logo from the start, kept it smart, kept communication high. At that time, if you go way back on my Facebook, you'll see I did have a Facebook and I was posting images of the Scabby Barn. We should find those, make it like the podcast selfie or something.
I like that.
So that's where I started, man. So then it was like, okay, what we're gonna do. But when we decided to go full time, no more money from the Air Force, let's do this. We looked and there was 2 units, and I picked the unit I'm still in today.
Wow. I think we kind of glossed over that, but I want to kind of go back because I think it's
Please.
important that, it's very easy to see kind of people where they're at now and aspire to be those, but I think people have to be careful and always remember that, and there's a saying, but I can't remember it right now, but I think it's important to realize that everyone started with zero. Everyone started with no clients and had to build it up, right? Most people weren't like gifted this like huge book of business, right? And so though you may see someone as like a super fancy detailer now, we all kind of started relatively in the same spot trying to figure it out, right? But I think you pointed out some really key business tips there. Like you always had a uniform. You kept communication
Totally.
really high. You kept your shop clean. You kept your Ford Fiesta clean, right? Because a lot of guys in the U.S. will start out of like their personal sedan car, right? And they're like, hey, how important is it to have like a full built out van or whatever? And it's like it's probably nice, but it's probably more of an ego stroke for you than your customers care about, right? So as long as
Totally.
you keep it
Totally.
clean and keep it right, like, you're going to be good to go, and you're laying down the foundation for when you do have a shop or you have all those kind of the fundamentals down, right?
Yeah. Totally. So then, on that, what ended up happening? Well, I think I was from the military, making sure I had a uniform, stuff like that. There, and I guess in doing some of my engineering stuff, they teach you basics.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I was doing this sort of level engineering, which is HND, coming on to degree, where they're teaching you're going to manage people, manage time. So I was quite lucky that maybe some of that had come through there. But yeah, kept it super basic. I tried everything, man. I tried flyer dropping. I tried getting business cards. I have got some top tips I think would be valuable to give away in this at some point in this
Okay.
podcast. We maybe
Yeah,
cut back to them.
sure.
But they're the tips I generally give people that send me, the usual amazing email, which is someone who has, one, the confidence to message someone that they believe is an inspiration to them and to ask them in a nice way. And not these people who are just like, here, pal, how'd you do it? The people that are more like telling you a bit about their story and their journey and asking for some tips. I give these people a bit of advice, but yeah, it was hard, and the hardest thing I think was actually in this area was educating people what detailing is. And I know now that maybe we say it different ways. You pick the client that you educate what you are, and you set your goals, and you perceive that one thing, and then your clients will come to you because that's what they're looking for. But when you're trying to learn business, you're just like, why won't people come? So you just feel like education's key. The reason you should be using me is, the reason detailing is good is. And that was the hardest thing in this area. Like, there was an amazing guy, I don't know if you know, Polished Bliss, they're down in Aberdeen, fantastic company, global. They ship a lot of products. Great team. They've now split into 2 separate divisions, but Clark Aitken was pretty much the only guy in Scotland kind of really setting the bar up there into what people would call like high-end exotic detailing, which still isn't really what we do here at AM Details. But that was basically it. So to try and educate people in this area, they didn't get it.
So sorry to cut you off. What is still your because I think it would be good to kind of lay that foundation down for people, that understanding, I guess. What is kind of your main how do I say this? Like, what is your bread and butter?
What do we do?
Yeah, well, yeah. What do you do? Is it
Yeah.
is it the super high end exotics? Is it not?
No.
Okay, so I think this is I sense that, and which doesn't mean you don't do incredible work. I'm thumbing through your Facebook trying to find those early pictures. And not only do you have one of the best looking shops I've ever seen, you do phenomenal work on really nice cars.
Thank you.
You know?
Yeah. So I suppose to answer the question you're semi-asking, is basically whoever requires that service.
Okay.
So for me, it was we weren't really selling, and we talk about it a lot, and you hear it in the podcast a lot, and I'm trying to be my own self here, but at the end of the day, that if people listen to this 10 people saying the same message, then just please grab a hold of that message and do it, because we're all doing it for a reason.
100%.
Which is that, you know, the money isn't always in 5-day corrections and slapping a coating on it.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes.
So for me, and it still happens today, for me, the bread and butter is our AM Details protection detail, which for you guys, it's a bit more than express detailing, and it is wash, thorough wash. We're in the door shuts, we're in the fuel caps, you're in everywhere you should be going. Decontamination in all those areas. A glazing polish, so nothing correctional, which is where sometimes I think the European and American detailers have a bit of a battle. You get these guys that are totally like, no, every swirl must be knocked out, or if you're going to polish it anyway, why not use a single stage compound, you know, something like that. But totally 100% a glaze. There's nothing correctional happening. It's just chemically cleaning, doing some filling. It's a makeup for that customer's car to make that car look nice. Carnauba wax, then all the trimmings. Carnauba wax on the wheels, dress the tires, a long life protectant on the plastics, rain repellency on the windows, violet on the inside, nice little air freshener of the customer's choosing. Goodbye.
And how long does that, well, and I guess we could get into your employees and all that, but how long generally will that service take? And just put it in man hours, I guess, because that regardless of how many.
So our shop, you know, you can do a service that in 6 to 7 hours.
Okay, got it.
You know, really intense. So the difference it takes you from what would a valeter do in that time to what you're doing in that time. So when we're glazing the car by machine.
Okay.
When we're dressing everything, door shuts, rubber seals. Plastics.
So let me ask that question then. Why is it just simply a cultural thing maybe, but why glaze it versus, and I'm like the biggest proponent of filling. So if you could fill anything for particular customers, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
So, but why use a glaze versus say an all-in-one? Is it because you get even more filling from the glaze, or is it just a cultural thing? I don't know.
Well, when you say all-in-one, do you mean the all-in-one still contains an abrasive, or it's
So let's use. I mean, I may get some flack for this, but yes, because I think that HD Speed, are you familiar with that? Has some abrasive in it because it in my opinion, does have some correction ability as well as filling ability, right? Or glazing ability. So when I think of an all-in-one, I kind of use HD Speed as the standard. So, or maybe not the standard, but that's what I thought of in my brain. So versus something like a full-blown glaze, right? So
totally.
Why use one over the other, I guess, instead of,
Yeah, no, excellent. So kind of two parts.
Okay.
So the one part, which I wasn't sure we're going to touch on in this or not, is AM Details. We have our own, white label product here.
Definitely touch on that.
Yeah, and we don't have any compounds in that, purely because the science involved behind it, the amount of money needing to go into it, and the fact that we don't just go to one of the amazing, and there are many in the world, big guys, and say, let's have that labeled.
Yep.
It is we want to get this from something. How do we get that? And it's a conversation, and it's back and forth. And to do that with compounds, no. And
it's
then
insane.
Now,
compounds are insane
why?
To develop.
Fact. And we don't have the capital for that. I think only just last year, we broke even on my metal fallout product.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
That people don't underestimate. I happen to work at, like I told you before, I work at a chemical blender, right, and help people with private labeling. And so to even break even is an incredible feat. And people really underestimate how expensive and how time intensive it is to have your own label. Everyone wants to have their own label, right? In theory, right? And then it comes down to real life, and it's like, how much is my first run? Bottles, caps, the little things that go under the cap so it doesn't spill. The label. It's like it could be endless.
Oh, we can go on a way tangent here.
We
But the
can.
nuts and bolts of it are, I was, 4 years ago, naive, thinking I'm going to tackle everyone's problems with an iron fallout remover. That's going to break me in this industry. Here we go. So I was trying to make one that would get rid of the smell, wouldn't look terrible, would be a bit thicker in viscosity, so it doesn't just run off like Iron X. I love Iron X, great product, but I wanted something that stuck to the wheel more. So then we went back and forth through 6 revisions of that product, and it got to the end where you were like, do we cut our losses here?
Yeah.
But then luckily we had such a great community feeding into what we were doing that they felt we were close enough to get the job done. So back to your original question on all-in-ones and stuff, if I may. So we only have a paint glaze.
Okay.
And realistically, for me, if you're going to do a single stage machine polish, for example, I think it's lost in my definition what's going on here. So when we machine the glaze on, that's not, for example, I'm a Rupes guy. I follow the Rupes system. I follow the Rupes, whether you want to call it 12 or 6-pass technique, which is basically one set of passes up and down, one set of passes left and right.
Okay.
So some people count it as 6. So if you go up and down with your machine 3 times, and then left and right with your machine 3 times, does that make sense?
Yep.
Like a big hashtag.
Yeah,
Some people class that as 6. Some people class it as 12 because they count left, right is 1, right, left is 2, left, right is. That makes sense?
Yep.
Over podcast, I'm so sorry, everyone. For those watching the video, it's probably just confusing because my face just went blah as I was speaking about that.
You should
Anyway,
subscribe to Alan's YouTube channel then.
Yeah,
so you
that's
can see it.
So, so anyway, to do a proper broken down set of a single polish is not what we do when we're glazing this. You're talking, we prime the pad up, we get the glaze on there, we're Speed 3 and a DAS 6 Pro, and we will smash out half a bonnet. We're not overlapping, it's just, half a pass. It's lazy hand polishing.
Got it.
The reason we do that is we tell the customer that the majority of the work in your protection detail is in the preparation.
Yes.
We're flushing out those arches. We're getting your wheels as clean as possible without removing. And some cars that can take, other cars you get them in, you've done it in 5 hours, you're like, bam, this is a, I don't know what a small car that you would relate to out there. This is a Volkswagen Golf.
Yeah.
Customer looks after it. He just wants it taken to the next level, or he doesn't have a lot of time on his hands. He loves to wash, loves to maintain, loves to play with wax. Doesn't really want to get into the nitty gritty of getting in all the door shuts and getting stuck in there. That's what our protection detail is for. If people are telling me they want our single stage packet, our single one machine package, now we're breaking out Rupes machine polisher, probably white, yellow, depending on the paintwork type. Professional detailers can assess for themselves.
Sure.
And then we are doing focus passes where a bonnet and a Golf is going to be 8 individual sections rather than when we're glazing 2 sections. So for me, that's the definition between when we apply our glaze by machine and when we're carrying out a machine polishing session.
That makes total sense because you don't really want anything with an abrasive in it because you don't want to have to work that abrasive, right?
So it's just we're just machining to give the customer more bang for their buck rather than us giving it hee-haw like He-Man with our hands.
Right. I love that, and I'm a huge fan of that. Of first of all, giving the customer what they want, not what I want.
Totally.
One question I wanted to ask that I think is a very important point and gets talked about a lot, but I try to like to give practical tips when I can. And you said, one thing that you knew you were going to have to do in this area is really educate the customer, right? And I think that's a topic, especially when we start talking about ceramic coatings, education of the customer. And everyone says, you got to educate your customer. You got to educate your customer. Which everyone would agree on, right? What I don't hear often is, what does that look like practically? So educate your customer. But my next question is, okay, but how? So what? And you don't have to go give away all your secrets. Definitely not. But maybe
I'm all over it.
But maybe what were a couple things that were most effective in educating your customers? Was it the flyers like you talked about? Was it blogs? Was it video? What was it?
Sure. So for me, we scattered a lot at the start. I tried the flyering, and flyering does work. I will tell everyone that now. Flyering does work. The issue is what you put on the flyer. My message at the time was from an engineer being too technical, talking words that the guy with his Range Rover who just wants it to be looked over didn't understand. He doesn't know what hydrophobic single-stage machine blasting mega ceramicness is.
Yep.
So it took a long time for me to educate the fact that the big tip for everyone, whether you're selling a product, a service, cheese, sell the benefit. Sell the benefit. So what does that look like on a flyer? That looks like, are you too busy to look after your Range Rover? We'll pick it up, carry out the service, and put it back on your driveway. That's a benefit. Yep. So even if you're using a valeter or a detailer, my USP is, doesn't matter what we're doing.
Right.
I'm going to look after you. Yep. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take all the hassle out of this for you. So that's what that looked like. And once I learned that and learned what our USPs were, so we went and got the big insurance that we could do that. The biggest step of education, or how we went about doing it, was purely by accident. I'm very lucky that I love to talk.
Mm-hmm. Same
here. Yeah. But I don't write very well. I'm pushing really hard to improve this because the direction of my business is now going to be more providing that sort of content. But you're lucky if you're going to provide how-to content or blogs, you can have people proofread. But for me, it was so much easier when you're on your own using social media as a platform, which is to answer the question, really. Social media, it was key, but in that was video. And if we go way back, go way back, you'll see it's telephone and it's me, just horizontal image, finished the car, and I'm literally running around the car in the 30 seconds that Facebook used to allow you, going, okay, guys, so here's a Porsche. I've had it in for a 2-stage machine polish. The benefits of this are this is now going to be guaranteed for 5 years, and really emphasize that bit. And I'm like, and I achieved this here in 5 days. You can get that done by just calling me. Boom. And then let the video show the gloss, show the work, what's going on. We're not talking this was me filming all the different stages and cutting it. This was me 3 times a day. Here's this Porsche we've got in, look how dirty it is. Bye. Here's the Porsche, just pulled it inside. This is what we've done. Bye. And then from those videos, Instagram then allowed video, which again allowed me to do these fast, really. You know, they were like the cheesy advert. To go on a side tangent, you know, when you do the advert or the competition, and the guy then's like, salt and pepper not included, everything's going to be
Yes.
Yes, they were a little bit like that.
You might have a career in voiceover right there. That was pretty good.
You're the voiceover guy, aren't you? So that's what they were like, and I luckily had a fantastic friend at the time, Daniel. Hello to you, high five, sir, if you're watching the video. And he said, look, man, a lot of my friends in what I do and in Monster Energy are doing this exact same stuff but piecing it together, so send me those. So I would then take those 3 daily updates and not put them online. I would send them to him, and he then put together what became the weekly vlog. And it's just basically me going, here's this Porsche, this is what I'm going to do to it, film a little bit. Here's this is what I'm going to do to it, film a little bit. And if you go way back to my first YouTube videos, I think the very first one is me time-lapsing cleaning a car for solid 5-minute time-lapse. Like if you don't fall asleep during that time-lapse, there's something wrong with you. Then straight into me setting up a point-of-sale table for our show we were going to do. And then it goes into me basically going, well, that wasn't very easy. Love you, bye. See you in the next one. That was my first video. But the tip is just do it, guys. Do the video. Social media is key.
You know what's interesting is we kind of had touched on that, and I had no idea about any of that story, right, before we started recording. But we kind of touched on that of like just record, because I was telling Alan how much I like the style of his videos and obviously the content of your videos and all that. But I thought, you know, sometimes we get caught up in like, we need this tool, we need that product, we need this camera, we need that. And it's like the power of just your cell phone to create content to get customers is severely underestimated. And yes, I still think I sound like an idiot, right? Like almost 400 podcast episodes later and all these videos later, I still can't stand seeing myself on the screen, right? Sometimes
Totally.
For people that goes away, sometimes it doesn't. And like we talked about earlier, then you get the YouTube comments for when you really, want to think poor things about yourself, you could just read your own YouTube comments, and they'll tell you exactly what's wrong with you.
Autofilter is incredible, Jimbo. Just get in there and put in the words idiot, jackass, and anything else you're not allowed to say in a podcast.
Right. No, you can't say it. This is my podcast. Nice. You can say whatever you want.
Nice. So then they can get held for review, and then once every 6 months, when you want to give those guys maybe a little bit, because there might be an honest comment in there where they'll be like, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. The person is on, it's not you. Then you can allow those comments. But yeah, I had to do that. And
that's a good idea.
For anyone that's doing video, putting yourself out there, it is scary. But I always say, if you don't film it, you can't use it. So even if you don't want to do it now, just film those cars, get it done, get it in, because then you might get confident enough. Or, hey, phone up Jimbo. This guy does voiceovers. This guy has nearly done 400 episodes on a podcast. This guy does a podcast I listen to when I machine a car. You phone Jimbo, give him a nice sob story, or give him some cash monies. He'll say, oh, hey, I'm Alan Detailing. How you doing? And we've just done this car. Say it much better than this. I'm trying to spitball. Here we go.
Yep.
We've just done this ceramic-coated car, which you can have done today for $795 in your local area of Michigan, blah, blah, blah. And give him all the B-roll that you've just done, and he will make you a video.
Or how about this? There's also a little website called Fiverr, where you can get that done really cheap as well. Or you can send it to me. I just don't think I have the best voiceover voice, but hey.
Yeah, but you're the voice of the podcast.
If you like my voice, I'll do it. And cash money, my ears started ringing when you said that.
Money
so.
Well, that's the one thing is, though, yeah, definitely. Putting yourself out there, and I think, okay, so maybe I'm a bit different, because I think at the moment, potentially put myself out there, but I still may be the only detailer that shows the life of detailing in his vlogs. I love Jim. Jim is my man, Mr. Jim White. He come to my wedding, so we go way back.
Yep.
I couldn't sit and edit what Jim does. That is his business model. That is what he does. If you want to do that, go and copy that. But for me, I've had many people in the industry, friends in the industry, come here, and they have preconceptions about how we do what we do. And then they come here and go, Alan, one, I can't believe how much you're still on the shop floor, which is a mistake of me in business. I'm going to fix that. That is, for me, a mistake in business.
Okay.
And then the other one is, and how much you don't pick up the camera. Like, I pick up and go, this is what we're doing today. And unless I curse or specifically say something stupid, like, and today we've put this coating on, when they go, that isn't that coating, Alan. And if I realize mid-saying it, I'll go, duh, silly, it's this. And I keep that in the vlog because it lets people know the character, lets people know who we are, what we're about, what's going on. But if I've just straight up said it and it doesn't fit, I'll reshoot it. But apart from that, that is it. So that is why my vlogs are, and I love every single one of my subscribers. So in no way, if you're a subscriber of the AM Details channel or anything, take this as a negative. But this is why my channel is, after 2 years, at 10,000 subscribers. High five to my 10,000. And not like other detailing channels where they're providing how-to content, well-edited, well-scripted videos, and they have more. But it's because they attract a wider, more universal audience than the Scottish guy with a funny accent showing you what he's drinking at lunchtime.
But you're being authentically yourself.
We're being us. So we know those 10,000 are genuine fans, genuine customers, genuine community.
Which I think, and it's crazy how I just want to be like, yes, we're the same, because it's like,
this is a serious tangent we've went on as well. Like, this is serious.
And I love tangents too, so don't worry. But I think that is such a good point of like, be so authentically you, because, and I get crap from my wife, like, I to be honest, I won't re-listen to this podcast to make sure like everything's dialed in. I won't re-listen to it to take out any ahs, me coughing because I got a bad cough. Like, even with the video of me drinking water, like, I'm not going to edit any of that, because it is what it is. And more importantly, it puts the authentic me out there, right? And I think that's what you're saying. And it's like, that way when you go to MTE and you meet Jimbo or Alan in person, not only do you feel like you know that person better because you watch their vlogs, they're the same person, right? And then for you as that person, you don't have to like, crap, I got to put on this front that I'm like this ultimate like detailer guy and be super polished. You could just be Alan, right?
No, I'm crazy humbled. Like, it blows
which is
my mind. I actually had a moment. So I think it was last Waxstock or the Waxstock before. Man, we could talk about it so much. But the Waxstock before, I'm fairly sure, was the first time it happened. So I went to the first Waxstock. I got paid by G10 to go to Waxstock and do demonstrations, and I was terrified. And then people came up to me and says, "We love what you're doing. High five, keep up." Now, I was not branded, for those on the YouTube channel. Hello. I was in a G-Technic top. So people were actually recognizing me for who I am. And they were saying how they love what's going on, etc. And I couldn't believe it. It blew me away. Second Waxstock I go, I don't work for G-Technic this time because they've got Adam. Shout out to Adam Eaton, my man. And he's their trainer. And I says, you should be using Adam, promoting Adam. I will happily be there, help out. But I'm going to be Alan Medcraf at this one and sit it out and maybe enjoy a bit of Waxstock. Didn't happen. The incredible people just mobbed me. It was unbelievable, just crazy. And then you go home and you're like, you're pumped, you're inspired, you want to deliver more, you want to do more for those incredible people that took the time out to come and say hi. And you get the message from the guys that were like, "Oh, I wanted to come say hi, but you were so busy." And I was like, you get this terrible sinking feeling in your tummy. You're like, I need to make more time. Like, we need to, you should have came and seen me. I would have made time. I would have done a coffee. I would have, the show stops at whatever time. But if you've traveled however 100 miles to get there, to as cheesy as this sounds, to come and shake hands with Alan and just have a picture, I'm there. Like, let's do it,
Yep.
So it has its pros, its cons, the flip of the coin. As it is.
But at least you could be yourself. And I think too, it's, I think long term, the play long term, if you're in it, you made the comment like, that's why I'm at 10,000 subs instead of 200, 300, 700, whatever, right? It's like, but I don't know. I'm a huge fan of just like being yourself, letting the numbers fall where they may. Because 10,000, I remember when I first started the podcast.
Crazy. That's why I said it. 10,000 is legit crazy.
And there was another podcast that started a little ways after mine, and the guy, I helped them a little bit get started because I don't mind doing that and I like it. And the guy goes, they messaged me and they're like, "Hey, we're only getting like," I don't know what it was. They said, "We're only getting about," what was it, like 150 to 300 downloads per episode. What can we do to make that like over 1,000? And I was like, I literally wrote back and I was like, could you imagine having 100 people in front of you listening to you talk? Like, imagine that in a crowd. That's a crap ton of people, especially talking about
the platform. It's crazy,
and so we get caught up in like our numbers, but if you actually put that into reality, it's like, that is a crap ton of people.
Totally. It's crazy, man.
That want to talk about totally just crazy. Like detailing stuff. You know what I mean? So
yeah, we should probably talk about detailing and stuff.
We could talk about detailing.
No, so what were you asking originally, right? How did that? So educating the people, yeah. So
yeah, educating the people.
Video helped a lot. YouTube helped a lot. Customers then speaking to their friends helped a lot. Open days. So just get yourself out there, do open days, and as another. So one thing that really helped us, and it's going to sound like a horrible thing, but it was incredible to help us. So my wife at the time was working with a charity for the local kids hospice.
Okay.
So we were like, cool, I will have an event and I'll do a charity thing to support that. But what happens is, as terrible as this is going to sound on a podcast, to do this for a marketing purpose, but it's a win-win. You do a charity event, and because the charity has all these access to papers, they have all these access to things, they want it to do well so that eventually they can get money. So the charity. So I got crazy exposure for running a one in a wash event to help this hospice. So when I think we generate, I can't remember, we've got this amazing check sat in front of an Aston Martin for this money we donated to the hospice, and Sarah then went to see where the money was going into. Man, that was heartbreaking and happy at the same time. But just to go on a tangent there, that for me still stands out as one of the events that helped to kind of trigger an influx of people being interested in what you're about. So if you can find a subject where, as terrible as it sounds, you can get on the back of some free advertising in the local press and things like that, maybe give some advice to your local paper and see if they'll blog about it, see if they'll make you the agony aunt, something along them lines to get some exposure. That worked quite well for us. The flyering did, once I learned to dial in my message and deliver the benefit. Customer service, online videos, that's what really kind of propelled us. And the best videos, as much as I vlog, the best videos are the ones I explained, where you just video a car, give it to someone on Fiverr to dub some music over it, and show the car. And then just before or after, put some text on your logo.
Yep.
Boom. I think we have a Scabby Golf R32. Not very well edited video, but because it's a Golf R32, it's at 300,000 views.
Whoa.
And I kick myself because we never marketed the video because it's 2 years old. So at the start, it basically has my logo. It doesn't have my website. It doesn't say what we do. It doesn't say our price, how to get in touch with us. Nothing.
And the down, I thought about that. I'm like, you know what a really cool feature for YouTube would be is if you could just like make edits to the video, but keep like you can't, right? You can't just go in and add. You could add it in the description, but not like if you could edit the video. That would be so cool, but
it would be so easy. Like I could sit and talk YouTube all day. I love the YouTube algorithm, what it's about, and it'd be so easy for me now just to make a very simple lead page magnet and put that at the end of the video and hope that every 1 in 100 clicks it.
Yeah,
300,000 views. That's still going to be a fair few people clicking through the lead magnet. You know,
that's a lot. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. What were we talking about before?
So that was a long tangent, but we were talking about kind of, I guess, just your journey. So why don't we go to, so you got the shop that you're in now, and then how about when you opened the shop, was it just you detailing, or did you had mentioned your military background, kind of managing people and kind of developing that kind of skill. So did you know that was something that you were inevitably going to get to, where you wanted to start to manage a team versus actually doing the detailing yourself, or what did that look like?
You always have the dream of where you want to be. Like everyone, they always have the shop, the team, what they're doing.
Sure.
But initially, it was just me in the shop. I had an amazing group of friends that would help out every now and again as well. So high five to every single one of them. Still remember where you came from, people. And
100%.
One of the things I first did was actually get into doing the ceramic coatings, to go a little bit into that and a little bit into to getting the exposure. And the reason was there was no one in this area doing it. So that was going to get me this new car market. So then I ran off down to G-Technic, got my G-Technic accreditation. That must be 7 years ago now.
Wow.
So that's the shop here. So we were not one of the first in the UK, and we weren't even one of the first in Scotland. Glasgow were already accredited at the time. Tragically, G-Technic, their warehouse had just burnt down, and I think me and Jim White went at the same time to do the G-Technic course, literally knocking on the door, and they've just pieced this building together, just moved into it. You think, talk about a hero story.
Yep.
So yeah, then I come back after that, and that really helped to get me a bit more exposure. So then I started to realize, okay, things are getting busier now. My amazing friends are helping me out, but can't keep asking the friends to help me out. They got full-time jobs. What's going on? So eventually I employed a guy, Doug, incredible guy. Doug isn't really into cars. He just needed a job. And he came rolling through the door, one-to-one with a friend, all suited and booted with his CV. And I just thought, well done, man. You came in suited to rock. Here we go. You know, scruffy wash car job as far as he was concerned. And I remember the first night he was here, we just built like a load I think we built the first wall, a first partition to separate customers from the detailing bay, and behind it we were building some blue racking to put the chemicals on, because before that the chemicals sat on basically bits of MDF wood that was painted white, and we were building them up and detailing a car at the same time. Doug came in and says, here, if you're wanting a job, I love the fact you've given all this gear, go and get changed and help me build these racks. So it took him a whole night, I'm going to say something like 6 o'clock at night till 10 o'clock at night, to build one blue rack that was banging, cursing, bending stuff, the usual. So the next night comes, and he's like, oh, can I come down again? I'm like, sure, you can come down. So me and my friends are detailing cars. He comes down. He bangs out 3 racks that night. And right then I got that feeling of, I forgot what it was like in the Air Force when you get someone fresh in and teach them a skill, and then the next day, they just get better and faster. And you get that really warm feeling. So me and Doug did a lot together. He really helped me learn to become, or still, I'm not there yet, but helped in the leading and mentorship side of what we do, and really helped to drive my passion for that. But Doug was massively into fitness. So then he moved on to a friend of mine's gym. I then had an old school friend of mine who used to help me detail across from the golf course.
Yep. Okay.
And at the time, he was super young. Like, I want to say something like 14. He used to get the bus through to help me out. We met each other through
Wow.
Detailing World, which is
Yeah.
an online forum. Yeah,
Okay.
Detailing World.
Yep.
So he came through, worked for me after packing in an engineering job again. So, we were on the same sort of path, and his name
Right.
was Alan as well. So
Oh wow.
it got a bit confusing here, all the Allens. So he came and worked in here, and that then really helped to push the business to the next level. We built a lot more. He was really into detailing, all that sort of stuff. And that grew really well. I'm going to say we've gone like a year or 2 years now. Excuse me. And then he wanted to do more your car wrapping, PPFing, window tinting,
Yeah.
all this sort of thing. So he went on his own again into his own business.
Wow.
But just before that transition, I knew we needed another detailer. So already they're two separate businesses, really. You got the detailing side and you got the chemical side.
Right.
Chemical side was just kind of growing because naturally it fed the detailing side. And that was originally the only reason we set up. The only reason we set up is I live in a part of Scotland that's quite remote. It's classed as the Highlands. And we get stung on postage courier charges. So I thought, well, I have all these people coming into my shop.
Right.
I'm teaching them then what to go, because educate your customers, where to go and buy it. And then they're getting stung with postage. So I'm like, well, if I get the stuff up here, I can stick like an extra buck on everything, and it's still going to be cheaper.
Right.
But I didn't have the capital to get Poor Boys in, to get McGuire's in. These companies wouldn't even look at me.
Right.
So, just bumped into a friend of a friend of a friend and went down the course of white labeling and getting stuff custom made for yourself.
Yep.
So that side of the business then fed into the customers we already had. So you start with your basics, shampoo, foam, ABC. And some of these we actually mixed up in my house. Would you believe we got all that stuff done back at County Houses? And then we had a wax at the time as well. The wax was homebrewed in the kitchen, legit.
Wow.
So then just as Alan was thinking about leaving, we had Scott come on board. So eventually I was like, yes, I've got my two detailers. That now leaves me to really push this business forward, really get the admin, the processes, all that sort of stuff in place, which again, we could talk about forever on the business side of it. That really gets me going.
Yep.
But then Alan left. So then we went back to just having Scott. Scott's fresh at the time, so now I'm back on the shop floor. So this has kind of been the habit. I must be a terrible boss.
We could talk about the skill set of trying to hire employees too. It's like...
I always tell everyone you've got two types of businesses. You've got the type of business that when it's big enough, a person can come in and grow from being the letter pusher to the MD, the boss, top of the table. And if you've got a company like that, fantastic. But at the minute, as a small detailing company building, I have to have the pride in knowing I've got these young guys coming in, or they could be older but unskilled guys coming in, teaching them a skill. Then they're either using that same skill to go and be independent and high five. As long as you leave on good terms, there'll always be a door here for you to come back through 100%. If it doesn't work.
Yep.
Or they take those skills and they transfer them. So they take the other elements, the customer interaction, the discipline, the spending a lot of time on your own with headphones in, and they apply it to another job that's in a completely different sector. And you've just got to be humble in the fact that you've helped grow that person to where they are today and to move on. So we then have Scott, and then from Scotty, we took on Eon. So Eon is then helping me with customer service, all the front of house stuff, because it started to get pretty crazy in here. The YouTube channel really took off. And
that was attributing to more customers through the door. Wow. Okay.
Literally, just to tell everyone to go back to that point of take a video. It got to the point where it was ring, ring, ring. Oh, hello, AM Details. How you doing? Yeah, that Ford Focus video you've put on YouTube. Yeah, I want that.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So would you like me to explain? I want that. Yeah, but here at AM Details, we try and make the service that's perfect for, mate, I've got $1,000 here. Just take my money. And we're like, oh, okay. So, it was getting crazy like that. So it's like, okay, let's get these in the diary. Let's do what we're doing.
Yep.
But there's two issues with that. The first one, I've got still a young team. And the second one is Crohn's. I work very hard, but it can drop me at a hat.
Got it.
So from that point, I knew not only did I have to teach a team, but I had to teach a team everything. Like it can't be, let's do all this. I'm going to do the G10 because I'm the accredited guy.
Yep.
Let's have you get everything washed, but I'm going to do the machining, the most intensive part. So you have to really learn to adapt the business and get it to where it is, I suppose, today. That's a big jump, but we'll try and push this on so we can do other subjects to where it is today, which is we now have 2 units. One unit has the double bays, which are exact mirror of each other, so a front and rear ramp. We can fit 2 Range Rover Sports in nose to nose with enough room to detail the whole way round. So for me,
Nice.
even though we have quite a small unit, it's cozy, it's efficient,
Sure.
it does what it needs to do.
Yep.
We have only what we need in the bay, and we have trolleys to keep it efficient. We then have the front shop where the chemicals are kept, and then we have the side office where we look after customers, or we stream to people like Jimbo here.
Hi-yo.
Yes. And then we have another unit which is now literally storage, production, distribution, which is insane. Like
That's
legit
amazing.
insane. It's a whole other podcast. That's just mental.
And one, gosh, and we're definitely going to do more of these because
So many tangents.
because there's so many tangent, but because the one thing that I've been thinking and the one thing when we were communicating before setting this up is that I could tell is that through this you've also set up a lot of systems, right? So
Yeah,
you
totally.
know, like
Let's talk shop for a bit.
Wednesdays you're with your family, right? Or your son, right? And then but you work late at night, so you're at what? It's 8:30 p.m. for you right now, or is it later than
Yeah,
that?
so it's just at 8:30. So usually, to touch on that,
Yep.
I have a Monday. Well, the current routine is, so please everyone bear with me, I've got a bit of history behind this. I have Crohn's disease, I have some medication to take. Business owner, I still work in the business. I have a young family, so I have me, my wife, my dog, and Jacob, who is nearly 2 years old.
Yep.
So this is the lifestyle. Here we go. I'm a military guy, I don't mind getting up early. Don't kill me in the podcast notes. I get up and try and be at the desk for 4:30 in the morning. 4:30 in the morning until about 6:30 is me time. 100%, no distractions. You will be surprised with one hit of coffee how much work you can get through in the morning through your emails,
So no
through
tea.
your social media stuff.
You're drinking coffee
in the morning.
first. Gotcha.
Coffee in the morning, not the
Gotcha.
tea. Breakfast teas later, baby.
Got it.
So then we'll have I'll get through that, and then I can do my video editing for the edits.
Okay.
So then I have that 2 solid hours to video edit.
How many videos are you putting out a week? Sorry to interrupt.
So we do the weekly vlog.
Okay, got it.
1 video a week. Anything else is a cheeky extra.
Gotcha.
So if
Got
you're
it.
enjoying the content at the minute, since Ian introduced us, it's because I've been traveling a lot. So what the lucky thing with traveling is it gives my audience a different bit of diversity, and it's also helping me to market and advertise the different things I'm doing now from just being a detailer,
Yep.
more of the training aspect. And so we can dig into that in a minute.
Sure.
But then it also means you spend a lot of time on planes, trains, and cars.
Yep.
So I always try and make myself the passenger, then I can always work. So a 9-hour drive is now 9 hours of independent headphones in laptop time. Like that is gold,
Yep.
serious gold. So
If
that's how I
Jacob's
try and
not
work
crying.
that. Well, totally. If Jacob, well, he doesn't get to come on my business trips.
Gotcha.
The minute
Oh,
they go
business
to-
trips only. Got it.
Sorry,
Yep.
business trips.
Yep.
Yeah, if it's a family thing,
Forget it.
I try and dump. If we're doing a family thing, it's like AMD goes. That's why I
Got
got my
it.
team.
Got it.
So family time is family time. So then 6:30, Jacob generally gets up. I have a solid hour and a half family time in the morning till 8. So we'll have breakfast together, hopefully. And then me and Sarah kind of tag team which one's looking after Jacob whilst we get ready. Sarah goes to work at 8. I try and do about an hour of me time again. So I'll go for a run, clear my head. No, it was another podcast where someone was talking about meditation or fitness in the morning. Like listening to ebooks. These people reset your day, get ready for your day. Mm-hmm. So the run in the morning or a gym session in the morning helps me do that. It's like my meditation. I'll just blanket all the stuff out, then get up, and I'm in for roughly 9, half 9. 10 o'clock we have team meeting. So that means my team start at 8. So they've had 8 till 10 to get through their emails, get the cars started, snag any problems. So then when it comes to 10 o'clock, it's a very quick, what's going team, right? This is a problem, right? Let's do this, let's go. I then stick my headphones in and become a detailer, or I get behind a computer and become a marketer, or me and Eon develop a new something, or I'm over in the other unit and we're boxing stuff up to go to some crazy country somewhere. Work here till 6 o'clock at night, go home. Jacob's picked up at 6, and we have about 1 solid hour before that kid is done.
Yep.
Then it is.
Thank God for early bedtimes, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yes. By the way, yes. So that's why I have to do the morning routine, or I would only get an hour with Jacob every day. And it wouldn't be enough. So that's the routine every day, apart from I'm usually in my bed by about 10. That's why I keep mugging you off late at night.
Yep.
Sorry, Jim.
No, we're good.
So then me and Sarah then have our time, so we'll have tea. So tea's quite late. We don't have it with Jacob. and then in bed for about 10, apart from a Wednesday. So Wednesday is 100% Jacob day. So I try
Awesome.
and not get up early. I get a lie in until Jacob wakes up. Then it's 100% Jacob day. And then a Tuesday night is late day. So what should happen, I say should happen on a Tuesday, is no cars, business development. So if we're going to be working on processes, Eon will be in with me on a Tuesday night. If we're going to be working on marketing, then generally Tasha prefers that, or scheduling posts on social media, then it'll be Tasha in with me. Or sometimes the whole team will be in, and we'll just have a brainstorm session on a Tuesday night, get some pizzas in,
Yep.
and smash out what's the next 10 months, or what's going to be the shows we're attending this year, or what's the community saying, what's the feedback. So that's a Tuesday night. But this week that didn't happen because my wife is an independent goddess as well. She had a business meeting on, so it switched to Thursday, which worked perfect with Jimbo, and here we are.
I love it. I love it.
That's me, man. That's how I do it.
And so I think it's so important to set those processes, right? And not only are they processes, but they're also boundaries, right? Totally. It's like, hey, don't call me on Wednesday. I'm with Jacob on Wednesday. Like, you know what? We do this podcast on Thursday, and that's one thing I'm trying to get better with is like my processes and setting time, because if you don't do it, right?
Yeah.
So like
true.
I go to anyway, so I'm trying to get better at that as well, but that was one thing I definitely wanted to point out because I saw that in our communication. We're pushing about an hour on this podcast. I want to I think we've done a very good job with an overview, right, of who Alan is, who is AM
have to
Details,
get back on where they want to dive into,
and they'll have to get back to us on where they want to dive into, because I think there's so many, and I kind of want to leave it a little bit as a cliffhanger because I want to do more with you and I want to do more podcasts. But so as we kind of transition into kind of wrapping it up, is there anything that you kind of had on your mind that you definitely wanted to get covered, wanted to get it across? Because we could save some other stuff for.
I've got loads of stuff here, so I could give a bit more of an overview here just for the helpful global community on who I am and potentially why reach out to me or why ask Jimbo to have me back.
Yeah, because then we could reference this episode of like
totally.
If you
and then
didn't,
at the start,
Yep.
I made a quick note here that I said I was going to give my quick tips that I give to everyone that says I'm just starting. How do I get customers? So the overview is, hello, Jimbo's podcast. If you haven't enjoyed this 1 hour already.
It's gone by like 5 minutes, by the way. So for me, so this has been really enjoyable.
So cool. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
So yes, Alan, G-Technic accredited. So if you've got any G-Technic questions, give me a shout. And yes, I've seen or done other coatings, and people, I wonder your opinion on this actually. People say, why haven't you adopted any other coatings, or why aren't you doing whatever? But for me, how can you build a relationship and get the most out of something if that isn't all you do? For me, I'm a little bit stuck on the guys that go, oh, I'm G-Technic and G-On. I know this is potentially opening a can of worms right at the end of a podcast.
I'm okay with it.
Both,
yep.
How do you market that to your customer? Because now your customer is going to come through the door and go, but which one do you choose? And you're like, I just locked them both down because I didn't want another detailer in my area to have it. Like what? What's the reason? So if anyone asks, that's the reason, in case they want to think I'm going to nail that one already. That's why I'm G-Technic, happy with G-Technic. For 6 to 7 years, I've helped inside its own personal forums on developing the products they've got now. It's a long relationship. They now, amazingly, and it's just happened, so this is 7 years on, they paid me to attend Waxstock, incredible, but now they've just paid me to be to Bulgaria to assist in the launching of the Bulgarian network.
Wow. And
getting them IDA SV. Which, to dive onto another one, if you want to chat about it, I think the UK was the first non-American IDA chapter. High five UK, what's going on? So yes, I am an IDA man. I've done my CD, I've done my SV, signed off by Jason Rose. Thank you, sir. He came to the UK and did that at Waxstock 2-3 years ago. And recently just got made an RT. In fact, it dropped at the same time as my Rupes one. So there we go. I'm trying to wrap this up super quick, Jimbo, but basically...
No, you're doing good. I just thought right there, if you added all that onto the top of your check, it might wrap around to the back of the check. You know how like doctors have like their...
So basically, with Crohn's and the way the business is going and the way all the industries are going, you need to choose a direction. It's like, do we go PPF? Do we keep doing what we're doing?
Right.
And I really enjoy this. I really enjoy passing on the knowledge I've got the hard way or by learning from other people.
Sure.
So I wanted to get into the training, and I always thought, what gives me the right to say, Jimbo, you've been trained by Alan Medcraf. Here's a certificate. You know, it's like it puts a lot of onus on me saying I'm the kiddie,
Right.
and I'm saying you're excellent. So I thought, I know, here's a cheeky workaround. I'll just do things for other people and they can say they're excellent. Well,
Right.
that was yes and no. Of course, there's more behind it.
Sure.
And at the time, I really loved what Rupes were doing. So I've spent the best part of 4 years working with Rupes, going to every trade event I could, making sure I was in Rupes UK's face, telling them what I did. And you'll notice if you go on my channel, I don't do any Rupes how-tos. I didn't want to deliberately do anything like that says, hey, Rupes, come see me because I'm doing this. You know, so it wasn't like, oh, you should use me. I've just done a whole lot of how-to videos. You know, I wasn't chasing.
Right.
It was more, I was just
sense.
making sure I was at events and that they liked Alan for who Alan is.
Yep.
I felt the only way you can do that is see me in person, not by me making cheesy how-to videos. I could do it now, but you know, because now they know that's genuinely me. So it took a long time, but eventually I got the privilege of going out to Italy and getting signed off by Italy themselves on being a Rupes trainer. So.
Wow.
I don't think there's many of us in the world.
Yeah.
We're now signed off as a Rupes trainer. So I'm really excited to push that out in 2019. That's going to be super cool. And another super cool that didn't come with that, I had to fight even more for it. Well, fight seems a harsh word, but it's not been easy.
Yeah.
Push for it. We're now a Rupes car detailing center. So again, one of the first in the world, I think, or one of the few in the world of being a car detailing center. So Rupes Car Detailing Center, Rupes Trainer, G-Technic for many, many years, IDA RT, so if you're needing anything SV or IDA, that's us. And in the UK here, we help out with Waxstock a lot. I'm a massive fan of that. Jimbo, let's get you over for that, please.
I would love
let's
to.
Get an email going and I'll get you there.
I met that guy. What's the guy's name that puts that on?
So you've got PJ and Dom from Dodo Juice.
Okay, yes. I met them at SEMA, I believe.
Yeah. And John Hole from Clean and Shiny, he was at SEMA as well. He was with the Rag Company.
Okay. I think I met the dude, trying to remember what he looked like.
It's basically be described
like a big
guy.
Dude? Is he a bigger guy?
Tall, beard, super tall.
Wore glasses.
Yeah, that's PJ. That guy's a legend.
And he's a bit of a caricature too?
Yeah, I like how you've termed that. He's definitely a character.
Okay. So, yes.
Love for PJ.
Nice,
so,
super nice guy. Just a bit of a character.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've always liked what they're doing. I think it's great for Europe, so I help them by being me, which is not minding it on a microphone and entertaining a few people and introducing people. And then you cannot forget the incredible people at Pro Valet and Detailers. I don't know if it's reached. I know that they have their Pro Detailer magazine, if you've heard of that.
Okay.
And it's definitely in digital print and paper in America. But it's a network here in the UK that is trying to. It's a network, for example, if you're a consumer, you can search your postcode and it's like a trusted trades.
Yep.
But it's also massively into educating detailers to the point where their core goal is once they've launched their training program, exactly the same as the IDA, but just not global, that they want to get it into UK schools so that kids can go and get a detailing apprenticeship.
Wow. That's very cool.
That's me. That's me in a nutshell. The only other cool thing, because I'm going to guess the majority of epic people who listen to this are American.
Yep.
Yes, you can get the AM Details range in America now.
Through who? Nice.
There's the sale right there.
Boom.
The amazing people at Car Guy Supplies. So it's a holding page right now. It's going to launch, I'm fairly sure, 18th February. It's one of the partners in that is Jason from Chicago Auto Pros. So if you watch their channel, boom.
Yep.
And there's a couple of other guys in about that, but Car Guy Supplies, I think, is basically the HQ is going to be at Chicago Auto Pros. And through the amazing world of YouTube and meeting people at these networking events, he's really embraced the brand. In fact, to the point where I'm super privileged. I just want to say it on your podcast. Thank you, Jason, so much for actually using us in his recent 10K detail. So he does a £10,000 detail.
Yep,
and he's just done a video and he used our stuff.
Awesome. And so if people want to follow you, Alan, or AM Details, how can they follow you if they happen to have Crohn's disease and they want to talk about more about that? Because I'm all about kind of rallying around each other and talking about personal things as well as detailing. I think detailing is the good excuse to to connect with people on a more personal level, which is kind of happens behind the scenes from the podcast as well, just kind of chit-chatting with everyone. So I'm sure there's someone out there with Crohn's. So if they want to get a hold of you, contact you, whether it's detailing, personal, whatever, how can they do that?
Sure. So first, I just want to say thank you, Jimbo, for giving me a platform to talk about Crohn's. I'm happy to be on here as well if you want to have me back, and we can talk about maybe some of the mental and physical and health issues that come around detailing. A lot of guys do.
Yep.
Let's talk about it, people. But if they want to get in touch with us, so if it's anything AM Details related, whether it's the things I just talked about there, Rupes, G-Technic, or us, then just amdetails.co.uk. I'm pretty sure amdetails.com forwards to it as well. You'll find us on all the social medias /AM Details. That's Alpha Mike, and then the word details, all one word. If you're looking for me, then Alan Medcraf will pretty much come up on everything. Sometimes it's Alan.Medcraf, and other times it's A, then Medcraf. So find me on everything. I'm on Instagram, the Twitter. One cool thing I think you quite enjoy, Jimbo, is even though I vlog from a works point of view on my Instagram story, and I've literally just switched it over to Facebook because Facebook demanded it, my Facebook peeps. I story what I do, probably about 6 to 8 different posts a day, but I put the time, and I call it, I originally started doing it to just annoy people because they were like, you don't get up at that time of the morning. So I'm like, here you go. I'm that notification, 4:30 in the morning, boom, doing my emails, boom, doing my vlogging, boom. And I'm hoping that it not only annoys those people, but inspires those that want to take that step so that they can go, hey, look, if Alan can do it, Crohn's and young family and a business, then I'm going to give it a shot.
Love it. Love it. Well, I appreciate you taking time. I'm glad it worked out this week to get you on, and I appreciate your time to sit down with me for a couple hours and share your story, really.
Thank you, man. This is super cool. I'm excited to see what people send in and what they want maybe see me back to talk about next. It's going to be cool.